This year has been so unexpected and challenging for all of us in so many different ways, from the pandemic to the uprising over racial justice throughout this entire year to the 2020 elections. It's all been, and I know everybody's sick of hearing this, but it's all been unprecedented. And working with volunteers as much as I do, and that we all do, at the Sierra Club, it's made it all worth it. The amount of energy, the inspiration, the support everyone has brought, even in the midst of all of this chaos, the amount of people that have come out to say, hey, yeah, I want to make a difference. And seeing people become leaders, work on our teams, bring such amazing creativity and effort and thoughtfulness to all of our work. Quite literally, everything we do would not be possible without our volunteers, from closing coal plants, opposing the pipelines, working on the elections, pursuing environmental justice, through all of the work that we do, and so much more. I could really go on for quite a while. None of the work that we do and have done this year, especially with everything, would have been possible without volunteers. So I'm lucky enough to have the chance to work with every day.
Sierra Club has overcome a ton of challenges this year, as have many of us, from continuing to advocate for a safe and livable planet and protected climate and wild areas. We also have made sure that we're fighting for equity in that work and just transition, as well as supporting Get Out the Vote efforts and assuring we have a just system and democracy, and pushing for changes where we can. And I think our volunteers play such a critical role in all of this. There are 5 staff at the chapter, and there's no way that we can move forward all of the incredible work that we do without our volunteers. Everyone has been incredibly adaptable and creative. So we have examples of things like really excellent webinars, having events that people can participate with in a safe, COVID-friendly way. So for example, our lands team coordinated a geocaching event where people are out in the woods enjoying nature and time with family. We've had a lot of great opportunities to get to know each other across the state virtually, and the volunteers are really the ones who are making this happen. So I think as we adapt to so many different changes that 2020 has brought us, our volunteers have really made our successes happen.
2020 has been full of twists and turns, but our volunteers really pulled together to rise to the challenge. One example is our fundraising committee, who had to figure out how to replace 2 very popular in-person events with an online event and still make it engaging and fun. Now, this is something we had never done before, so they were really starting from scratch. And they had to learn fast what could and couldn't be done using our online platforms. They spent countless hours planning and came up with a great theme that connected locally sourced food and drink to our chapter's work. Then they built a great volunteer team that included a guest chef and a guest bartender, an amazing MC for the event, 2 videographers that pre-recorded and edited the cooking and drink mixing demos, and a host of volunteers who managed tech, kept the chat rolling, and monitored donations in real time, all on the night of the event. It was an amazing experience watching them create this event from the ground up and have it culminate in such a success. It also raised really critical funds to support the work of the chapter. So thank you to everyone who was involved in creating and hosting that event, and to all who attended and donated. Once again, you've left me in awe. Thank you.
As an organization that usually builds campaigns around people getting together, showing collective strength and calls to actions at things like rallies, attending public hearings in large numbers, having educational events for the community where they can come and learn more, having it unsafe to meet in person made it pretty difficult at first. I am so grateful to all of our volunteers because their innovation, passion, and dedication really allowed us to push through those challenges and continue to make progress. All of our teams eloquently switched from in-person meetings to virtual meetings. So I'm just so impressed with how willing people were to put their comfort aside and learn how to kind of move forward, and it paid off. So this year we have had incredible success. We've had more coal plants shut down this year than we've seen in recent, or be announced to shut down this year as we've seen in recent history. We've made some huge gains. We've come up with really cool, innovative tactics to get the word out, and it's all because we knew that we wouldn't let something, our volunteers got together and knew they wouldn't let something like COVID stop our ability to making progress. The other thing that I'm so grateful for our volunteers' knowledge and expertise and care about was the work that our leaders did to demonstrate the connections but among all the different crises we're facing with the work we do. So the connections between the COVID and a pandemic that attacks people's lungs and the work we do to protect our clean air. The connections between police brutality and structural racism and the environmental racism we see with our work. So really recognizing the fact that we're all in this together and we'll pull together to make a difference.
I started this job during the pandemic, so I can't compare what happened before to what's happening now, but one of the first tasks that I took on was working with the tar sands team to get people to turn out to a hearing on Line 5 and to submit comments on it as well for a draft environmental impact statement and a wetlands and waterways permit. And at this point, there hadn't been a ton of virtual hearings or anything like that, so I know that everybody was pretty unsure about how everything was going to happen, how we were going to get people to testify and comment when we all weren't going to be there together in person. And at one of these first meetings, the volunteers on the tar sands team took the most amazing initiative. Everybody really came together and took on different parts of promotional work or outreach work, and it was amazing to see how all of that work kind of tied together and resulted in just this huge turnout at this virtual hearing that lasted for hours and getting over 1,500 comments submitted. And all of that work is absolutely due to the hard work of the tar sands team volunteers and all of the hours that they put in, their creativity. And I am so appreciative of it, and it was such a great way to get oriented with the team and with this kind of virtual work that the volunteers have been excellent at.
Sierra Club volunteers take on everything and anything that they're able to. So things like entering data, signing petitions, helping to put together mailings, right? All of those things are essential behind the scenes roles. Volunteers also plan events, write content, help us find the strategic direction for our campaigns. They welcome other new volunteers. They help expand the reach of the Sierra Club and are a huge part of the climate movement and building out partnerships across the state with other organizations. So truly, Sierra Club volunteers are the face and the name and the heart and soul of the organization.
Everything that you see the Sierra Club do, we had a volunteer leader working on it. So if you read a press release, probably a volunteer either wrote it or edited it or formatted it for us. We've had such incredible events in the past, everything from giant rallies like our hundreds, thousands of people marching on some of our climate rallies, to really interesting educational events with speakers. And it's our volunteers that made it happen. They found the locations, they came up with the idea for these speakers, they reached out to the speakers, they figured out all of the kind of less fun logistical needs, like how we're going to get a speaker there, renting space. They spread the word, whether it's something like hanging up posters or chalking on the ground or sharing social media posts, creating social media posts, sending out emails. It's all done by our leaders.
I'd like to give a huge thank you to the members of our finance committee and our chapter treasurer, who make sure we stay fiscally healthy and provide guidance to the executive committee on financial matters. Thank you so much for loaning your time and your expertise.
So, what kind of things do volunteers not do, I guess? From things like phone banking, texting, sharing things on social media, signing petitions, to working on our conservation issue teams, leading on those teams, helping facilitate meetings, develop our strategy, helping us run volunteer nights, working with our local groups, leading in that capacity to running for our executive committee and determining the direction of our chapter, running our chapter, providing the support that way. Volunteers are available and they're at every single juncture, every single aspect of us as the Sierra Club Wisconsin chapter. They are at the core of everything that we do. They're there every step of the way. So I really can't think of a thing that volunteers don't do as part of our work.
There are so many great victories that happened this year that would not have happened without Sierra Club volunteers. The first thing that comes to mind is all of the election turnout that a ton of our volunteers did, getting out the vote and educating about environmental champions. Another thing that comes to mind is the retirement of so many coal plants, proving that clean energy is our future. So excellent volunteers in the Southeast Gateway Group, the Great Waters Group, and the Clean Power Coalition pushed and pushed for years, and finally the South Oak Creek coal plant was announced for retirement. We've also seen the UW State coal plants announced for retirement, and Genoa and Edgewater coal plants announced for retirement this year. And all of that is because we have people on the ground calling for clean energy and demonstrating that it is the correct solution. We've also seen great progress when it comes to improving forest plans around the state that would not have been done without volunteers. And our members have also turned out on tons of comment periods pushing for a bold climate plan for the state, and advocating for better climate protections and clean water and land protections as well. So truly, Sierra Club volunteers have made so much happen this year.
Volunteers play a role in almost every aspect of the work we do. In my role as chapter coordinator, I work with a number of volunteers who help keep our chapter running smoothly. In a typical year, that means they come into the office to help with a variety of tasks, including things like data entry, donor thank you notes, creating social media for our fundraising and membership outreach, helping with record keeping and report generation, and a variety of other things. We've managed to adapt most of those projects to remote work this year, and while I miss seeing everyone in person, I'm so grateful for their continued help. I wouldn't be able to do my job without them. Thank you.
As volunteers, sometimes you're working on a specific task and you don't realize really how crucial all of your work is to what we do as an organization in Wisconsin. And as a staff member behind the scenes, it is amazing to see all of you coming together and putting in bits of work here and there, and how that really builds each of our campaigns. So for example, I'm thinking about the water team right now and how a lot of different team members have taken on tasks outside of meetings. They've worked on small offshoot projects and put tons of time into writing blogs or updates or recording vlogs or doing outreach interviews with farmers. And they have created an amazing amount of educational materials and resources, things promoting sustainable farming practices, and none of that would have happened without all of their hard work. That's just one example, and I think that this really applies across the board to all of our volunteers. All of your work is really so crucial to our success as a group and as an organization in everything that we do. So thank you.
So what value do volunteers add to the Sierra Club? It's so much it's almost impossible to put into words. Yes, volunteers help complete a lot of work, share what we do with their friends and family, and lead on a lot of our conservation issues. But beyond that, they inspire and make everything we do quite literally. As a staff person, as somebody that works with volunteers every single day, the value that they've added to my job, my motivation, things that I do, even just as one individual, is absolutely incredible. It really sustains the work that I do every day and that we all do, and it is really such an honor to work with the dozens and hundreds of volunteers across Wisconsin, from our local groups to our teams to people that come to our volunteer nights that helped with our election work. It's really hard to put into words the amount of value that volunteers add, and I won't even try that. But the hundreds of people that across Wisconsin that want to make a difference for our future, our environment, and fighting for an equitable and sustainable future for all of us in Wisconsin, the value is insurmountable.
I think that you all are the most enthusiastic people, and you bring such great energy and passion to all of our discussions and all of our work. I can see how much you care about environmental issues and how that connects to your lives and the lives of the people around you. And so that just dedication and your knowledge and willingness to help out has added so much value to my work and to the work of your other volunteers, and I know to other staff members. So I really, really appreciate just that energy. I love to come to meetings and be greeted with excitement, or even if it's something bad, people are always ready to find a fix and work towards making something better. And I think that spirit and motivation and ability to keep going and be creative and find new ways to be active, especially when we're online, has been so great and has definitely been one of the most valuable parts of the volunteer experience from my perspective.
Volunteers, our leaders, our members are the Sierra Club. So they don't add any value because they are the Sierra Club. Without them, we don't have a Sierra Club. Without people coming together to take action, without people saying, I'm going to stand up for clean water, I'm going to fight for a livable future, I'm going to fight for environmental justice, we wouldn't have a Sierra Club. There's no way to quantify it unless you figured out what the Sierra Club was worth. We are our members, we are our volunteers, and the things that make us successful is because our volunteers and leaders make them happen and make them success. The things that make us strategic and able to accomplish victories happen because our volunteers come together and think strategically and come up with plans and figure out how to stop a pipeline or stop a factory farm. And so the volunteers, leaders, members are the Sierra Club.
A memorable experience that I've had this year. There have really been so many, and it's strange to think about that most of this year has been through completely virtual experiences and virtual memories. So, I could list so many, but the one I'll talk about right now is our very first virtual volunteer fair that we hosted. What made it memorable was the amount of people that expressed interest and the number of new people that we reached and that wanted to come and learn, hey, what are we all about? And then being able to, take that energy, take these really interested people and plug them into our work and find the perfect volunteering fit to match their ambitions and their drive and what inspires them and what they wanted to make a difference on. And putting that together was really exciting and a challenge and a memorable experience. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more and, reaching more people and just helping grow the movement.
One of the most memorable experiences I've had with volunteers this year has to have been a small meeting with a few volunteers from the Clean Power Coalition, which is the team that I have been working with fighting for the retirement of the South Oak Creek Power Plant. And this meeting was really special and exciting and important because it was set up for us to discuss how we were going to respond to We Energies, the utility that owns the plant, how we were going to respond to their announcement that they were actually planning to retire this coal plant. And there was just so much excitement and enthusiasm, and I think it really demonstrated how hard work can pay off. This group has been fighting this coal plant for years and years, and all of their hard work really materialized. And I think that excitement and realization that hours here and there and creating public pressure and making calls and writing letters to the editor really pays off. So that was just really exciting, and I was so happy to have everybody be successful, and so just really appreciated that moment.
There are a lot of memorable experiences that I have this year with Sierra Club volunteers, but I think something that I've really appreciated this year, as I've been working from home and not seeing as many people in person, have been the extra time that we've spent to check in with each other on our team calls. I know that the transportation team, the lands team, and the Columbia Beyond Coal team are 3 teams that I work most closely with, and all of those teams have done an excellent job checking in with each other, making sure we're okay, and also finding time to laugh together and just be people. I think some of the icebreaker questions that we've had have been really funny. It's been really nice to connect with people, to laugh and joke, even though things seem really dark sometimes. And so those memories really stick with me this year. It feels nice to not feel alone, even though I'm working from home.
Thank you, Sierra Club Wisconsin volunteers.
Thanks, Sierra Club volunteers.
Thank you, Sierra Club Wisconsin volunteers.
Thank you, Sierra Club Wisconsin volunteers.
Thank you so much to all of the volunteers with the Sierra Club in Wisconsin.